it's Lee and Millie from coloringqueen.net, and I want to wish you a happy new year. I haven't chatted to you guys since before Christmas. I've been on a bit of a break, so I want to show you some happy mail that I've received, some colouring books, and we'll have a bit of a colouring chat. And I also have the winner to announce for the Karolina Kubikowska postcard giveaway. So a few things to get going today, so hopefully this little princess will let me do it. So first of all, I want to show you, we did the Christmas card gift swap, Christmas card swap in my colouring group on Facebook, and this is the one that I received from my partner. How cute is this? You can't see it in person, but you can't see it on video, but it is all glittery and it's got snow on it, and these are 3D little cutouts and stuff. Isn't that adorable? It is just super cute. And thank you very much, Renee. And this is one that I got from somebody that watches my channel, Carol, and it came with a card that also had the snowman on the envelope. I love that. It was so cute. And it also came with Twinings tea bag called Holiday Berry. So I drink a lot of tea, which might surprise some of you because I always talk about coffee, but I also drink a lot of tea, mainly green tea or English breakfast or Earl Grey or something like that. But Twinings is one of my favourite brands. I've never seen Holiday Berry here in Australia, so I'll have to try that one out. Now, I got it after Christmas, probably because we were away, but isn't it gorgeous? And it's a gorgeous snowman, so I wish we had some of that snow here because I've got the fan on. It's so humid and hot today. Now, this is a book that I bought for myself pre-Christmas. It's called The Ink House. You've probably seen it. Now, when it first came out, I wasn't really too much of a fan, to be honest. And, you know, for those of you that are new to the channel, I have a very strict budget for colouring books and supplies because I'm currently unemployed, so I'm very careful about where I spend my little pennies, and I just couldn't justify the price of it when I have so many beautiful books when it first came out. But before Christmas, it went on special, and even I couldn't resist it on special. It was like 15 Australian dollars, which is hardly anything in US dollars, and very similar to the Canadian dollar. So I couldn't resist it, and I'm super glad that I bought it. So that's The Ink House. I will do a full flip through of it later. Then I treated myself to Anastasia's Mermaid Legends colouring book. Now, this is not a new colouring book by Anastasia. It's actually a rework of her first book, and it's been updated with a coloured cover, some reworked drawings and some new drawings. Now, I'd never purchased her first book, so I'm super glad that she's brought this one out, and I'll do a full flip through of this. It deserves its own video, but it is stunningly beautiful and I absolutely adore her artwork. Now, this one was a lovely gift. It came all the way from Sweden pre-Christmas. One of the lovely subscribers, Jean, that watches this channel, and the line art is very faint, she bought the book and she didn't fancy it, and she thought that I might like it, and so she sent it all the way from Sweden to me, which was so unexpected and such a surprise when I received it in the mail. Now, it's all Japanese Kimino ladies, so I hope I can do a picture from it and do it justice. I haven't tried to do a kimono before, but I really want to, you know, give things a whirl in 2020 that I haven't tried before. Now, I'm not sure if I showed you this one or not. This was sent to me from a friend in Korea. And I will do a full flip through of this. It really deserves it. But it's basically some line art on watercolour paper. and it's super tight in this envelope. And it's really delicate and really fine. You might not even be able to see the lines on camera, but I will do a full flip through of it. It's on watercolor paper. It is stunningly beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Now, I really need to practice with the watercolors, and I thought I would be able to practice last year, but things just seem to get away from me, and I really don't know where the time goes. Now, this is a book that I purchased for myself. I was so excited to get this book. It's a Korean fairy tales colouring book, and it is, oh my god, it's stunning. It is beautiful. So I'm so glad that I used some money that I had set aside to buy this, because I've been hugely careful. I don't know if you noticed or not, but I've been hugely careful in the last year about hardly buying anything. So I did set aside some money for the end of the year when I know a lot of books come out, and I was really excited to buy this one. And it is beautiful. I will do a full flip through of it very soon. Then I was sent by Karolina the latest postcards, and this one is stunning. Oh my god, these sets of postcards, each one has something different in them. So if you've got all of them, you don't end up with just all postcards and notebooks, because they've all got something super special in them. And this one has got gorgeous stickers. Aren't they cute? And a gorgeous little stickers over here. They're just beautiful, and they look like her watercolouring, which has been made into stickers, and she is a fantastic watercolourist as well as a fantastic pen and ink artist. But it also comes with these magnets on wood, and they are stunning. Aren't they beautiful? So far I've got notebooks, I've got to-do lists, I've got I can't remember what the other thing was. Oh, a diary. And now I've got these, and I've got to say, I think these are just stunning, 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 stunning. So I'm so happy to receive that. Now I will do a full flip through, and I do want to colour one of Karolina's pictures from one of these postcards with you. But really, every time I look at them, I get confused over which one, because they're all gorgeous. But I'll do a full flip through of this one later. But I had to show you these because these are just beautiful. Now, the lovely Eriy has finally produced a new book. It's not romantic country, and it's not tracing around the world. It's called in English roughly World Travelling, and it's very similar to romantic country. Now this is the Japanese edition. It's not likely to be a US edition unless a US publisher picks it up. And honestly, sometimes artists don't want their books published in other languages, because publishing is not, you know, the meal ticket that some people might think it is. You might think, oh, well, my book's published, you know, I'm going to be rich. It also comes with a lot of problems and difficulties, especially when English is not your second language, not a language that you widely communicate in, and you're trying to get your book published in English. Now, she has had the Romantic Country series published in English, but not the Tracing Around the World. But this is very similar to Romantic Country. It's just as beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to do a full flip through of that one. And then I received the lovely Grazia Salvo's book, Wild Soul, that was sent to me by her publishers. Oh, I've got a little bit of a wild soul here on the desk at the moment. And this is all gorgeous women with animals. And isn't it gorgeous? Like, I have got so many beautiful books in the last couple of weeks, and they tend to, look at this rabbit, They tend to always come out, you know, from September onwards, these beautiful books. Isn't this beautiful? So, I mean, it's always worth, you know, putting aside a little bit of money if you want to get something from these artists at the end of the year. Isn't this beautiful? I'll do a full flip through. It's hardcover. Isn't it gorgeous? Usually I've only bought Grazia's books as a digital imprint. Now, speaking of digital downloads, I do have a gorgeous digital download colouring book to show you, but I haven't had it taken up and printed and bound, but I will show you very shortly, you know, towards the end of the week. So watch out for that one. It is lovely. Now, this is a Polish colouring book that was sent to me by the publishers, and it is oversized, so it's huge and spiral bound, and it is just adorable. There are so many beautiful little pictures in this one, so we will do a full flip through of it when I don't have a cat in my way at the end of the week. But it is full of cute little fairy houses and lovely little scenes. It is lovely, 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 lovely. Now, I am just going to go and move a cat and get out Queens of Poland that I said we would colour in before Christmas, and we'll do a bit of a colour and chat. So I'll be back soon. So I do want to say thank you very much to everyone who thought enough of me to send me something or a card. I can't believe that people would go out of their way just to send me something. It just sort of blows my mind a bit, and it's so shocked and surprised to think that someone from around the world or even locally would actually think of me to send me something. I really appreciate it so much, and I can't tell you how much it means to me. As well as receiving those beautiful cards and the lovely books, I also received a lovely voucher from Craft Online, which was so unexpected and again so really appreciated. 2019 has been like super hard for me financially, and I really just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And it's not even the monetary value, it's actually that you would actually think of me to do that. It just blows my mind, as I said. So I really do appreciate it, and I'm not going to say any more because I might get all teary and cry. So I've got Queens of Poland out. I haven't been able to move the cat, but never mind. You might see a little tail wagging across the screen there, but she's kind of comfortable, so I don't dare move her. Now, I do want to announce the winner of the Karolina Kubikowska postcards. So if that is your name on the screen right now, please email me or message me on Facebook if you prefer, and let me know your address so that I can shoot those postcards over to you. So in the meantime, let's get on to our gorgeous queen. I chose this one, which is the grayscale one, and I thought we'd just have a crack at doing the skin. And I haven't coloured for weeks since before Christmas, so we'll see if I can remember what it is that we do here. But I always used to find when I was at work, when we'd have a break, even if it was just one day off, by the time we got back to work, I kind of forgotten what they paid me for. And then I'd remember, of course. So hopefully colouring is the same, and I'll remember what it is that I'm doing here. So I hope you all had a lovely end of year celebration or break or Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you may celebrate, or nothing at all. You might just have had some time off at the end of the year, so I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. And this is one of the first years that I haven't had any New Year's resolutions and whatnot. I tend to not do them, so I'm not going to bother. But if you did, please let me know in the comments below what you've resolved to do. So before the break, I was going to talk, and I said many times, I was going to talk about the FTC changes and all the changes to YouTube. But quite frankly, the whole conversation and the misinformation, I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but sometimes people are misinformed, and it's a little bit like Chinese whispers. And everyone gets the wrong idea and follows it all around the internet and whatnot. So I said I was going to talk about that before Christmas, but it was such a Debbie Downer conversation that I really didn't want to do it. And to be honest, I'm glad I didn't, because there's so much going on with the YouTube and whatnot that it changes every day, and I certainly don't want to be a person that is trying to take advantage of a trending topic or stir up problems or any of those sorts of things. And I also wouldn't like to be misinformed and whatnot. But anyway, long story short, I'm not going anywhere on YouTube. I've had this channel for, I think, 4 years now. When I first... this is not my first channel, by the way. I also had a software channel many years ago, many years ago. And, during that time, there were also changes on YouTube. There were FTC, funnily enough, and I've seen this all before, and during that time I seen a lot of my friends that were in internet marketing, I seen their channels closed down or totally removed, and it always was in my mind when I started this channel that these things could happen, because I've been online since 2006, 2007 in internet marketing. I've sold things online, I've sold things on Amazon and eBay, I've written books, I've done a lot of stuff online since about 2006 really, so it's a long time now. And I've seen it all. I've seen these, FTC big problems with people leaving reviews. I've seen FTC crackdowns on people teaching people how to make money online. I've seen my friends' channels disappear. I've seen FTC going after people that leave testimonials on products that they may not have genuinely purchased and things like that. So I've kind of seen it all. So or seen enough as I want to see. And so when I started my channel, I was very conscious of the FTC, and I always disclose when a publisher or an artist gives me products to review, which is very rare that I will accept anything, by the way. It is extremely rare. I buy most of my things. And I do that disclosure because, first of all, when you do reviews, it's not about the artist or the publisher, contrary to what most people think. It is actually about the consumer, and they have a right to know if my opinion might be biased at all. And it's also an FTC requirement, and anyone that does reviews should already know that. Same with cookies on your website and tracking information. Again, all of those things, if you run a website like I do, you should already be on top and be aware of those laws. So when I started up my YouTube channel, I digressed a little bit here, I was always incredibly conscious that my channel could be taken down, just like others that I've seen before, not through anything that they've done wrong or anything like that, but just because, they're not complying with YouTube's terms of service and policies, etc. So I consciously decided that I would save every single video, and if my channel was ever taken down, that I could put all 800 odd videos onto another platform, or onto Amazon S3 and, you know, stream my videos from there. So I have a couple of terabytes of storage where I've stored every video that I've ever made. Now, and should, you know, I ever get taken down, the FTC policies are going to apply to, and the Child Protection Act is going to apply to every other platform. So it doesn't matter, but what matters to me is having control over my content. And so I can always take those videos and spend a couple of weeks uploading them to Amazon S3 and stream them from my own website. So I do have a plan B, you know, should my content ever get taken down or I lose my account with YouTube. And this is the risk that you take, and I might sound harsh, but this is the risk that you take when you build your hobby site or your business or your platform on somebody else's site. They are always free to change the terms of service. They're always free to either promote you in the search results or not. You know, that's what happens when you're not really in control of your content. And of course the payoff is that YouTube is where the viewers are. They host the content and I'm not paying for it, and it's where people go to view content. So you've got inbuilt traffic. So with every, you know, negative, there is also a positive. Now, when I first started out, I put my YouTube channel up first. And again, this is not my first YouTube channel, and is certainly not my first website. Definitely not. And then I built my website and I put my YouTube content on it. Now, is that her skin or is that something different? I don't know. I think it's her skin. I'm confused. Is that the skin or part of the dress? I think it's the skin, so I'll colour it like it's skin. And if I make a mistake, she'll need to have a darker dress. But so I built the website, and I do have Amazon S3, which is just like a very cheap storage, and it stores all my images on the website, and I pay a small fee every month to host that. And the reason that I have the website is so that in the event that my YouTube channel is ever removed, then at least I have the website to fall back on. Now, that website costs me every year about 550 Australian dollars, not including any other extras, but just for the hosting of it, because it's a paid website service, and I do get other extras, so we'll call it about $650 every year that I pay in website hosting. So it's quite a lot, and I pay it out of my own money every year. And I have to pay a year in advance. I can't pay it monthly because otherwise I won't get a special deal. And so I pay that for the simple reason that I'm in control over what happens there. I'm in control of the content, and should I ever lose this YouTube channel, then at least I still have that to come back to. Now, YouTube send out notifications when you do videos if you've hit that bell button, whereas my website doesn't unless you have subscribed up to my email list. Well, not really an email list, it's subscribe to the blog. A lot of people will do an email list. Personally, I hate email marketing. It's something that really annoys me. But I may need to do an email list just so that in the event that anything happens, I still have a means of communicating with you and letting you know that I have new content or new things. So basically, that's my plan, and you know, I always think it's really good to be in control of your content and your site. But I do appreciate that not everyone wants to or has the technical skills or the money to create their own website or alternate solution, or have their own Amazon S3 account or any of those sorts of things. And fortunately there are a lot of alternatives. There are free websites that you can make, and there are other video platforms, but Copra, etc., will still apply to them. It's not just YouTube. So anyway, that's my plan. And I do think it's always a good idea to have multiple ways of communicating with your audience, and so that's why I have Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and the website and stuff like that. And it's quite a lot for me to handle on my own with other things going on, but I'm still glad that I have it, and have different ways of meeting and talking and being with everyone that watches me on YouTube or visits my blog or whatnot, because I appreciate every one of you, and I would really hate to not have a way of communicating with you. So it's been a lot of work and a lot of expense, but definitely worth it. And when things like the children, COPA and FTC problems have all been spinning around, I felt relatively comfortable with the decisions that I've made in relation to going forward with this channel. So long story short, it's just business as usual at Colouring Queen. I've changed the thumbnails a little bit, and I've changed my tags a little bit, but really other than that I don't plan on doing anything else. Now I do have a lot of Disney and cutesy type images, and so I did run a free check through my content to see if it would be flagged, and funnily enough none of it was. What was flagged was as child friendly was actually all my over 18 content, so I don't really trust their algorithm on that one very much, so I wouldn't rely on that too much. But it may come to it that I may delete some of my Disney type stuff, but at the moment I'm not going to, and we'll just see what happens basically. I don't know what I'm doing here. I should have been thinking more about colouring this than talking about the FTC. That's why I didn't want to talk about the FTC, because it'll just be distracting me from what I'm trying to do. It's so bad. But I did see so much misinformation, before Christmas about the FTC. And, I just wanted to clarify, the FTC, last year I think they had 30 cases, and there's millions of YouTube channels, so really they are so under-resourced it's not funny. Now I don't take that as a free-for-all for doing whatever you want, but I'm just saying there's limitations to what they can actually do from their own resources. Yeah, so that's basically all I have to say about the whole YouTube, FTC, whatnot. I think it's a real shame though that a lot of people close their channels or whatnot, but also think it's a good time to sort of think about your direction if you've got a channel, what you're going to do, and think of worst case scenarios and have a plan B in place. And if you're an artist, have a plan B in place to contact your subscribers and let them know of other platforms that you might be on and other ways that they can get in contact with you should you ever lose your channel or whatnot. But yeah, so that's basically it. So I was super pleased to see the back of got a Millie hair on there. Back of 2019. It's been a really rough year for us and for me, and really hoping that 2020 is a lot better than 2019 was. So I don't know what you guys did for Christmas, but we didn't do anything really. We didn't put up decorations or anything because it's been a year since David's dad passed away, and the Christmas beforehand we spent, at McDonald's drive-through for Christmas lunch on the way to palliative care, so we thought we won't do anything this year. I'm sure this is skin, but I don't know. Oh, we'll see. And so we just worked around the house on Christmas Day. We were painting things and whatnot. And if you've followed me for a while, I injured myself or had hand problems for the last month of December, so I couldn't really do a lot with my right hand during Christmas and pre-Christmas because my hand was swollen and my fingers were sore and cramped up, and I also put my right shoulder out, so it made it really painful to do anything. So pre-Christmas I was trying to get the spare rooms ready for David's mother and his brother, who came to us on Boxing Day. So I was painting those left-handed, which is absolutely no fun at all if you're right-handed and you're using your non-dominant hand. But, I managed. And we ended up just on Christmas Day, we ended up just painting, and it took me way longer to paint left-handed than right-handed, and trying to get everything nice for his mother and brother when they were coming up. It wasn't helped by the fact that I'd got all this mulch delivered, and there was like 10 metres of it, 10 cubic metres, and all in the garden, and it started to rain and we couldn't move it, and we were trying to get this bed upstairs and it was raining, and I got caught in the balcony. We had to get a neighbour to help us get it over the balcony. Got stuck in the hallway, and I'm sure it was hilarious for all the neighbours to watch because the neighbours over the road were all sitting under their carport having Christmas Eve dinner, and first of all David was trying to get this bed over the stairs, and they were just all in awe of him trying to do this in the rain and whatnot, and it wasn't successful. Luckily one of the other neighbours seen, and he came over to help, and then he was trying to put up this privacy screen right in front of them, and he'd spent all this time trying to get it just right, and then it was a few mil out and didn't fit, and the whole thing fell down, and he had like this audience of 30 people watching him, so that was pretty funny. So for Christmas Day dinner, about 9 o'clock, we decided that we needed some food, so we just had leftover spaghetti, so it wasn't like Christmas at all here. But next year, hopefully things will be back to normal and it won't seem so bad without David's dad and, time and all the rest of it. Because David's dad was the one that always did the Christmas cooking and whatnot, so yeah, it was very difficult this year without him, and last year when he was in palliative care, so hopefully next year we'll go back to doing a new version of what we used to do and celebrate Christmas as well, and have something good and all the rest of it. But this year it was just a little bit too raw, and David's mum and brother were coming up as well, so it's been really hard for her, and so that's why we passed on Christmas this year. And so David's mum and his younger brother, he's got another one that's younger as well, he's the oldest, they came up on Boxing Day, and they've stayed for 2 weeks, and it's been really lovely having other people around, having someone else to talk to. And David's mum's a very good gardener, so she's helped me choose a lot of plants and tell me which plants will, grow from cuttings and things like that. So that's been really good. And I think, we really busted our guts trying to get this house presentable for them. So much so that, as well as my arm injuries, I also ended up with some feet injuries. I couldn't walk. I had stress fractures and things like that. And I'd put my knee out, and oh God, I was in pain. And what else did I do? Put my hip out, and just everything was just paining. I don't usually like to take painkillers, but I ended up having to, because between my arm and my shoulder and my hand and my knee, and I just felt I was falling apart completely and in agony, so I had to take painkillers, I think, about 3 or 4 days in a row, which, anyway, I don't like doing, but look, sometimes you just need to, or otherwise you'll be grimacing, and that's not a nice holiday look. I'm not really getting anywhere with this skin tone. Need to keep layering it up a bit more. But anyway, my hand is still quite sore, so I'm just sort of going to pace the colouring and things that involve going like that until my wrist and whatnot really fully heal up. But the other day we got the pool people in. So when you resurface your pool, you've got to wait a month or something until you can decide if you're going to have chlorine, or if you're going to have a saltwater pool, or if you're going to have magnesium. And so my preference was magnesium, because I've heard such great things about it. And then when they gave me the quote to make it a magnesium pool, I nearly sort of fell off my chair. And then you've got to spend money every month, topping it up to get it to the right pH levels and whatnot. And so there's an ongoing cost as well. So I decided that we'd get the saltwater pool, because I don't like chlorine. I don't like it sort of stings my eyes a bit, and I've been looking forward to it being changed over to the salt water. And then, just at the last minute, I thought I might just ring around and see if there's like a cheaper magnesium product or an alternative that's, not as expensive and something that we can, keep in our budget. And I actually found that there was an alternative magnesium product that wasn't as expensive, and the ongoing cost wasn't as expensive. So I quickly cancelled the saltwater changeover and converted to the magnesium. And I've got to say, oh my God, it is so good. It's meant to be really good for like your joints and things like that, but it's also meant to be very good for your hair and your skin. And it's not like you dive into the pool and it's like cocoon and you're 20 years younger, although I wish that would happen. Seriously. I'd love to be 20 years younger and know what I know now. But it is really, really good. And there's only one place, as far as I know, here in Queensland that has this alternate product that's a lot cheaper. It's like on the price of salt water, which made it affordable for us. But I don't know about other places in Australia. So, but anyway, just ring around if you're interested in it. But when you get out of a chlorine pool, or at least for me, my hair is always really dry and stringy. But when you get out of the magnesium pool, my hair is so soft. It's unbelievable. It's like it's just been conditioned or something, you know, had a deep hair treatment. And my hair was so damaged from, you know, getting paint in it and plaster and all the renovating things that I've put my hair through. And now it's just really soft. And that was after the first dip. It's kind of instant. And I also noticed that my hands and my skin in general was a lot softer than what it usually is. And what I really wanted it for was all these aching bones and stuff, because I've had quite a few battle wounds in my time, and I get a lot of aches, and I'm meant to have knee surgery and hip surgery, but I don't like doctors or hospitals, so I've never had it. So it really helps with that, because I was so achy, I could barely walk, felt crippled. And it's not like I got in it and was instantly cured or anything, but it really relieved a lot of pain. I really can't speak highly enough about these magnesium pools. They're really great. They're not sort of, you know, they're not going to solve all the problems of the world, but they're very, very good. And I'm really glad that, even though it meant changing pool companies from the people that have looked after us, I'm really glad that I did change it and get this other product, because it's the same price and the effects are just fantastic. So, and I'm not paid to say that or anything like that. And I've only been using it for a few days. We've only had it in for a few days, but geez, it's noticeable. It's calling me now. It's so humid here at the moment. And so, yeah, David's mother and brother came up, and we went and showed them a lot of sights and whatnot of Brisbane. There was a lot of sitting in the car, which just made my knee worse, and that was before we had the magnesium pool. And so I was very crippled and in pain for a lot of their visit. And then we went on holiday to the Sunshine Coast, all of them. And David's mum loved it. She's never been further than Brisbane. And so we went up Sunshine Coast, and she really loved the area, which is good, because her and her husband used to go on holiday at the top of New South Wales, below where we're living now. And so she'd never been in this area. And also it was something different for her, and she really enjoyed it, which is good, because you know, they're already planning on coming back. And considering, you know, she'd never travelled on her own, or never, you know, gone anywhere different. They'd gone on the same holiday every year and that sort of thing. I think it's just, you know, an amazing step to take. And she's in her 70s, and she's been learning to drive, and she's trying all these new things that she has never done, like meditating and coming up here and learning to drive and volunteering at church organisations, you know, that help feed the homeless and whatnot. So she's really stepping out of her comfort zone, and she's got this new thing of, you know, she'll just try it and, you know, challenge herself to do things that she would never have done while her husband was alive. So it's really good for her, you know, it's really good. And I never thought that she would come up here, to be honest, because, you know, she is very set in her ways, and we were stunned when they said they were coming up. And she came up, and, you know, she's got a broken wrist, and she's had to navigate our construction zone and whatnot, all with a broken wrist, and, you know, something new, and travelling and all the rest of it, all with a broken wrist that's still in plaster. And so I think it's really good, and it was absolutely lovely having them here. Sorry, just had a sip of coffee. I don't seem to be progressing very far with this skin tone. Yeah, so, and for New Year's Eve, we basically just had a barbecue, which was nice. And then we watched the fireworks on TV. But watching the fireworks wasn't that exciting because you couldn't help feeling that the $6.5 million that was spent on it could have been better used for bushfires and stuff like that, for bushfire victims, etc. But the thing is, those things are booked well in advance, and tourists make their plans based on these fireworks happening and things like that. So I can understand why they weren't cancelled, but it's still a lot of money for Cracker Night, especially when other services could well do with that money. Anyway, I won't get into the politics of that. So I'm sure even if you are not in Australia, if you're overseas, that you know that we have bushfires all across the country, basically in most of the states. The state that I live in, there are some bushfires, and I have had some smoke haze, etc., but it's been coming up either from localised fires that have been put out super quick, or from regional towns like a couple of 100 kilometres away that have drifted over to where we're living. And on those days I tend to just stay inside because, as most of you know, I have asthma, and it's really affected by the bushfires. I've got to say, looking at Sydney on the news, I am super glad that we don't live in Sydney anymore, because I don't think I would have been out of the house for the last 3 months, because the haze is so bad, especially if you have asthma or respiratory problems and things like that. I doubt very much I would have left the house, but I've been getting a lot of messages asking if I'm safe and whatnot, and even though we did visit other places outside of where I currently live, I am perfectly safe. I'm not in a bushfire zone. And although we have bush around us and whatnot, it would be unlikely for them to get out of control here, simply because the weather is very humid at the moment here, and there's a lot of moisture in the air, and the fires that have been localised have been put out super quick. So even though we've got bush a couple of blocks away from where we're living, I'm feeling fine about it, and I'm just getting smoke from other areas that are drifting down, and certainly nothing like what a lot of people are going through. It's saying that I've had to spend I've spent a lot of time checking up on friends. I've got friends that have been evacuated from the south coast of New South Wales, and they've all been evacuated. I've got friends in the south of Sydney that have been evacuated, and the north coast, friends in Victoria. And I always, think, it's just better to evacuate than stay and fight. But one of my friends is actually staying and fighting, and I'm really worried about her. She breeds horses and cattle, and she's not going to leave because she's, wants to keep her livestock safe, which I can understand. But, I really hope that she's safe. She's got a big property, and at the moment the winds are blowing a gale, and she's got a lot of horses and a lot of cattle to move very quickly, should she need to, just abandon. And that's in Victoria, near where I used to live. So I hope everyone is staying safe. And I know for people around the world, it's kind of confusing, all the different states of Australia and all the rest of it. But these bushfires, I've never seen anything in my life like them. Never seen them go on for this long. The months that they've gone on, the amount of states affected, the amount of bushfires that are currently on fire, the amount of houses lost, the amount of people lost, 500 million animals lost, like wildlife. You've got koalas coming into suburban streets seeking water, and some have been badly burnt. The koala population is just getting decimated. You've got kangaroos again affected and displaced, but there's 500 million estimated animals that have been killed with these bushfires. And I think I could be wrong, I think there's 12 million hectares or acres, I think it's hectares, that have already been destroyed by bushfires, which, when you consider the Californian fires were 253,000, 12 million's quite substantial. And it's mainly around coastal areas, so a lot of people have gone on holidays to popular coastal places and been in the worst position ever of being evacuated or being trapped. A lot of people have been without power, so if they're on like oxygen machines and things like that, they're really stuck. It's just a terrible situation. There's places that haven't had food or power for days, and a lot of regional and rural little communities where people might be living by themselves, and there's been towns that don't have any cell phone communication or mobile communication, so they don't know to evacuate. It's just been a really horrific thing, and it's said to go on for another 2 months, so just pray for rain, I guess, and substantial rain to block it out. And now the people have been asking me, they've seen around the news about people being stranded on the beach. So there were 4,000 odd people that just had to take to the beach in one particular town, and in others as well. That one's made a lot of news because there were a huge amount of people there on holiday, because these are holiday destinations, a lot of them. And a lot of them you just would not expect to be in the firing line of these fires. But anyway, a lot of those people were the Navy came in with boats and whatnot, and they're taking people out 800 or 1,000 or so at a time. There have been helicopters coming in as well, but the logistics of it, it's just not a matter of dragging people out by helicopter. You've got to sort of choose the people and choose the best means for different people. You've got elderly people, you've got young people, you've got sick people, There's a huge mixed bag there, so it's just not as easy as dropping a helicopter in and getting them out. And they also have, limited place, and also there's the fire visibility. It's really difficult to see in order to land those things. But I was reading a story about a guy that he was on his boat, and he decided that he was watching his house and the fire was making its way towards it, and he thought, well, should I go and save my house? But he's seen these people crying for help on the beach, so he went and saved them instead, and his whole house burnt down. The other thing is, a lot of people are insured, so they're spending the time fighting. And there's lots of reasons why they're not insured. First of all, if you're in a bushfire zone, your house needs to usually be built of materials that are bushfire retardant. And a lot of people own homes that were built out of materials before that law came into effect, and so their insurance premiums would be particularly high if they insured, and they can't afford to insure. Some people just sometimes forget their insurance, or you know, any number of reasons why a lot of people aren't insured, but for some of them they, you know, prefer to stay and fight as well, which personally I'm not a stay and fight person. I'm a up and go person. You know, I just take Millie and Charlie and David, and yeah, that'd be it. Oh, my ID, because that's always hard to replace. And if I had time, I'd take, you know, some other things, colouring books, pencils, but I wouldn't have a bag big enough for that. But yeah, there's all sorts of reasons why people do stay, and you know, I hope my friend that's protecting her horses, I hope she's okay. I've been really thinking of her and my other friends who have had to evacuate. And, you know, just recovering from this and being evacuated and the fear, and it must be absolutely terrible. So I hope everyone is safe that's in these zones. And I hope, you know, everyone does appreciate the magnitude of these fires. I've never seen anything like it in my life. You know, you've seen states burn up and things like that, but never on this scale. Is just unbelievable and just so frightening. I have to say, I'm really glad that we're not in Sydney, because with my asthma, really wouldn't be able to cope with the smoke haze that's been going over there for the last couple of months. I'd just be confined to bed, I think. I'm having trouble with my hand here on this picture, so I might have to use a blender pen, because it's cramping up and getting pins and needles and whatnot. So it's completely cramped up. I'll have a drink. So I was worried how Millie would react with David's mum and brother coming to visit, like whether she would like other people in her house, and because Charlie knows them, he's you know, growing up with them and whatnot, so I wasn't worried about him. But I was worried about her, that she would get a little bit miffed and whatnot. And it turns out that she loves having visitors, and I basically lost her to David's mum. She'd just get up on her lap and sit on her lap, and she was always in a bed, and yeah, she really adopted David's mum. And of an afternoon, she'd sleep with David's brother. She'd have a little nap with him, and so I lost her there for a while, and I was on like the C list, and then eventually when they left, she came back to me. But so I had nothing to worry about. She adored having visitors, and even though they don't have pets and they have no desire to have pets, they adored her. His mother used to love playing with her and petting her, and she was totally fascinated with her eyes and her little funny face and her little cranky face, as she calls it. So I had nothing to worry about after all, you know. Everything worked out fine as far as the pets go. And when we took them on holidays up to the Sunshine Coast with David's mum and his brother, we took Charlie and Millie as well, up to Sunshine Coast, and we stayed at Airbnb accommodation. And I was worried about Millie because she hasn't been, you know, travelling. Charlie has. And she was absolutely fine, but she'd wake up in the middle of the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning, and she'd be trying to undo the blinds. And then she got into this new thing of whenever you were looking for her, she was sitting in the sink, and she never sits in the sink at home, so I don't know what that's all about. And since she's been home, she hasn't sat in the sink, but weird cat. It was like, oh, she'd just find this spot and she'd be sitting in the sink. And one day, David's mum turned the tap on, had to get a glass of water and wet her completely. And a wet cat is a sight to see. She was out of that sink so fast it wasn't funny. But yeah, so they adored her and she adored them. I got nothing. I got no affection or no love at all from Millie while they were here. I was truly on like the C list as far as the cat went. So now they're gone, I've got my cat back. I think they must have had some sort of magic charms or something. And we're sort of back to normal. You know, after you have visitors, there's always so much washing and what not to do, and I don't know, it seems to take a while to get back to normal. But as soon as they got back to Sydney, it was 45 degrees, and they've got all the air conditioning on, they've got everything